What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Talks. We are up to episode 12, and we are presenting you with a big brand new shows. We got some big announcements to come. We got some new segments that we're going to try out, but
Yeah.
I am joined again with my co-host, Lawson.
Lawson. Woo! Hello,
Woo.
everybody.
We are
Welcome back.
now I'm getting consistent with actually saying co-host rather than co-horse. I kept calling you horse for a little while,
hmm
but yeah,
Yeah.
why the long face? Hmm.
No, my face is wider than it is longer these days.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't work with the joke, so play
Yeah,
along.
but
Nope.
fat jokes are funny too.
Yeah. Yeah. But we're next episode, we actually are trying out a brand new segment. So be really excited for that because I'm trying to hype you up and get you excited. So we're going to have
I'm
a
so hyped.
guest. Yeah. See, look at you, just bringing me down. So, so we've got a new segment. We've got a friend that we worked with for quite a number of years. She's going to come on and she's picked one of our segments for next week. And it's going to be really exciting. She's going to come on. We used to stir her up a lot. So if you think I stir Lawson up, wait till we both gang up. And it's
Yeah.
it's something to behold. But do we have an action-packed roster for you this week? We've got Blockbuster, which is Netflix's newest sitcom, which is
Yep.
kind of the ironic show that obviously Netflix and Blockbuster history. And
Yep.
then we have Barbarian, which had an absolutely fantastic critic raving reviews. Like
hmm
they came out quick and fast. And then we've also got Vinland Saga, which is the anime, which was originally Amazon Prime, but has also been regarded as really good. But we'll be the judges of that because we're the critics now, and you can't,
Supposedly.
yeah, you can't judge us on it.
Yeah.
So, but everyone's favorite segment, I am going to throw in there an extra little part to it. So I'm going to give
Okay.
you some movie gossip, and then you're going to give us your quick fire thoughts on it. Okay.
Okay.
So can you
Sure.
recap the rules for us?
Recap the type. I have to
All the
say
rules.
whether I'm interested, not interested, or I don't care.
Yeah. And then
Yep.
the new part where I'm going to throw
And
it at you.
then you're going to give me some gossip, and I'm going to give you my initial thoughts.
Ah, that's it.
It's,
Good. You're on it.
look at me go.
There you go. All right. So first movie news is Fall Guys is getting a movie adaptation with Ryan
Oh,
Gosling and Winston Duke is also cast in it.
oh my God, I need to look this up. Who is this? Is this gossip or is this actual legit?
No, it's legit. It's they're already rolling on the Fall Guys. You knew it was
That's
coming.
ridiculous. That's so
It had to.
ridiculous.
Had to be.
Who's making it?
It was
Is
announced 17 hours
Illumination
ago.
making it?
I
Oh
actually don't know.
God. All right.
That's not quick fire news, is it?
Oh no, I need to know more about this now. I feel like it's something that Illumination would make, which is fucking minions people and shit. Like it feels like that sort of movie.
No, it's not. It's live action though. So do you want to?
Wow.
Yeah.
Live action?
Mm,
What?
I reckon it
Okay,
is.
I'll look this up after
Yep.
because I need to look more into this.
You'll
My initial
love it.
thoughts is I hope it's a dumpster fire.
I hope they lean into absolutely terribleness so that they can make it good. Like it needs to be like Room, how bad Room was that it made it good.
No,
Like,
because Ryan Gosling put in things to be either romantic or award winning. Like that's why you cast Ryan Gosling. Um, I mean, look, he's done some funny shit, and he on Saturday Night Live. It's fucking amazing. So look, I hope it's a dumpster fire, but I guess we'll see.
yeah, right. You actually watch Saturday Night Live. That's commitment. Or is it just segments?
Segments.
All right, I was
I
gonna
have a
say.
friend who adds the best bits to a YouTube playlist that have been made for me.
Yeah.
So I only watch what I've been told to watch.
All right. There you go. And also a confirmed new Godzilla movie is coming in 2023.
Stop.
And it looks horrible in terms of Godzilla coming through. raging, just
Is it being
stomping
made
down.
American? Like, is it being made by Hollywood? Is it made by
No,
like
I don't know. I didn't look at it. Remember, my movie news comes from the thumbnails. So, do you feel the
headlines only? Okay,
yeah?
I shouldn't ask more questions.
Do you
I
feel the
need more than that.
Oh, I'll give you this. Do you feel the rumbling of the tectonic plates and the feeling of terror? That's the caption.
Sure, I don't
Yeah,
care. I haven't watched any of the Godzillas in a long time.
yeah, you gotta love it.
No.
And then we've got Bruce Campbell shares first look at Evil Dead Rise. So the new Evil Dead movie is
Yeah,
getting
cool.
a really cool look, and they're moving away from the forest and going into the high-rise towers. So that's going to be exciting. And if it's anything like the remakes, I'm excited for it. Like,
Yeah, I know that Raimi was a writer. Is that right?
yeah,
But
he's
not director.
involved. Yeah, I think
Yeah, I don't know why he's not like. Why isn't he directing though? This is his
uh,
baby.
yeah, but him and Bruce kind of had like a bro code in terms of he only wanted to do the Resident Evil movies if he could have Bruce Campbell. It was kind of like they were in partnership, and that's why he doesn't feel like he can do it justice because Bruce Campbell doesn't want to do the role as Ash again.
Okay. Okay.
So
All right. Well, we'll see.
yeah, I'm excited
Yeah,
for it.
I am keen. If it's what we will come to expect from the Evil Dead series, then it'll be good.
I
And if
mean,
Sarah means anything to do with it, then hopefully, it's still a good piece of work. I don't know.
did you see the original trilogy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then you saw the remake.
The Shivi show.
No, that was Ash vs Evil Dead, and that was
Yeah.
like Ash coming back, but they did a remake of the first one with like a new cast.
Oh no, I haven't seen
Uh,
that.
it's actually quite good. Like
What is that just called?
it's just
Evil
called
Dead
the
as
Evil
well.
Dead, yeah. But you know
All right.
they put the date after it just so people know. It's kind of annoying. I wish they moved on and
What
called it
date is
something
what
else.
date is it?
The
2013.
I think so.
All right. Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah,
No, I haven't watched this one.
2013. That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, give it a go. We might watch it.
All
We
right.
might talk about it because
Sure.
I do like the Evil Dead. And now for your movie gossip. Are you ready? Quick
Sure. I'm
fire.
ready.
So, in the new film, there is Millie Bobby Brown, the
Oh yeah, the
yeah,
new.
and Henry Cavill. They're on in Enola Holmes too, and
Yeah,
Cavill put boundaries on their friendship while they're on set. Thoughts?
put boundaries on their friendship.
Yeah. So he like
What do you
set
mean?
boundaries in terms of how they can interact on set. Ah,
Uh, I mean, without knowing more, I can't really.
nope. Initial thoughts.
My initial thoughts are been probably good. I know he's a very private person. He doesn't even have like social media or anything. But I do sort of wonder why. Like, was she particularly aggressive?
Well, she made news after the Stranger Things in terms of apparently she wasn't very nice on set. Like she made a lot of
Oh,
waves
okay.
and enemies with the Stranger Thing cast.
She seems like a cunt. I don't know what it is about her, but I haven't liked her since the beginning.
Right.
I've seen
So
her like I liked her in Stranger Things, obviously, and then I remember seeing a few interviews and stuff with her and just thinking she's a spoiled little bitch.
yeah, right.
Um, wasn't a fan, so it doesn't surprise me.
Right. Well, now you know.
And I like him a lot, so I'm gonna take his side. You know what? Fuck her. I agree. She deserves all the boundaries.
Take that. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm sticking by it. I'll die on this hill now.
Good. Now that I've got you revved up a little bit, we're gonna move
Sure.
on to the Netflix original comedy
Mm-hmm.
series, which is a blockbuster. So if you grew up in the '90s like we did, you
Yeah.
would have remembered going to the Blockbuster stores and absolutely having a ball. Like the
Mm-hmm.
nostalgia, I used to love going there, looking at it. And like you used to
Totally.
commit to whatever you rented, you watched it to the end because you're like, I paid what six
Yeah.
dollars for an overnight. I'm gonna watch this
Yeah.
at least once or twice to get my money's worth. Or even
Mm-hmm.
if they're weeklies, you're like, I'm gonna guarantee that I'm gonna watch it. and like just
I'd watch it multiple times if it was a weekly. Because otherwise, I'm like, if I have more than one night, I'm gonna have to get more watches out of it, right?
yeah, and it's like you judge a movie based off the cover, and occasionally you
Yeah.
read what it's about, but you judge it purely on its title and what it
Yep.
looked like. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were good times,
So
good times,
pick a
because
movie each, spend like half an hour picking a movie.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
you got to know the people because they were regulars there, and they'd start
Yep.
to occasionally recommend you stuff, and the good old days. And when I got my Xbox chipped, I used to like rent
Oh
a
yeah.
game and then like copy it onto my Xbox. That was
Mm-hmm.
good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old grey zone of like legal battles, I guess.
Right. We even like our video store had like Super Nintendo games and had a whole bunch of bootleg games that we rent out. Like,
Really?
yeah. And this was in like Alice Springs. It wasn't even a Blockbuster. It was like a wasn't even like a Video Easy. It was a no name, some guy around the corner, But
From his
it was
garage.
it was right out of a shop, but it yeah had a lot of questionable supplies. That's for sure.
Well, this series is the comedy set in the last blockbuster video in America explores what and who makes a small business succeed. So as
Yep.
we listed, that was the whole point of the old nostalgia little trip there, was this is what I was expecting from this blockbuster series. So our rule is we watch 3 episodes and we'll give you
Mm-hmm.
a rating and a recommendation whether to watch it or to avoid it. So
Yep.
this has got a number of high profile sort of comedy people. So Superstore, which is another comedy series, they've got 2 people from that come across, and they've also
Mm-hmm.
got the what's her name, Melissa
Famero,
Fumero
who
from
plays Amy
Brooklyn.
Santiago in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, like quite a reasonable cast. You'd assume they would
Yep.
be able to like carry this, but I don't know what it was about this show, but I don't think I actually laughed the entire time. There
Nah.
was a couple of times in the 3 episodes that I gave a little like smirk because
Yeah.
occasionally there was like 1 or 2 moments, but throughout, I feel like if they were going for the nostalgia part, they needed it to have either the VHS and the change to DVD because that was a massive thing back in obviously Blockbuster shifting from VHS to DVD,
Yeah.
where this felt like they were in obviously present day because they're talking about TikTok, they're talking about Twitter,
They do.
they're
Yeah,
talking
they
about
mentioned 2022.
pronouns, that like everything in the present day that
Yeah.
is happening, they're just meshing into this one thing, and then they're throwing these bits of nostalgia out in terms of like phone parties, and there's so
Yeah.
much of this. Even it was like self-aware, like I can't even remember what her name is, but Amy, uh
Her name
is
was
it
Eliza in the show.
Eliza? Yeah, she
Mm-hmm.
points out like a big corporation, and I'm surprised they didn't actually throw a Netflix joke in there. They said Amazon instead of like Netflix being the corporation that took over.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a weird turn of
Yeah,
point
they
to
do.
sort of
And they do
go.
sort of point out, they do like a tongue-in-cheek joke at one point. Um, I wrote it down somewhere along the lines of, they made a joke about Netflix. Like, actually, no, one of the first jokes was a guy coming in and he's, having a discussion or whatever. And he's like, what have you been doing? I haven't seen you in a few months. He's like, Netflix, like everybody else, we're all on Netflix. Straight away, they were poking fun at the death of Blockbuster. And that left me with a little bit of sour note going forward because from then on, they set a precedence, I guess, of this is going to be shitting on Blockbuster. And they don't, I guess the moral of that interaction was the guy comes back and he's like, oh, the algorithm shit. It's so much nicer to have a person recommend something that was perfect for me. And that's the whole, like you mentioned before, that's the whole driving point of this small business. Now that he's the last one in America, or I thought it was on Earth, but in
No.
America, and he, yeah, it's all about having that interaction still and having people come in and have a conversation about movies and blah 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 blah. So, and I guess it was nice, but the first joke was shitting on Blockbuster, and it just felt sour. And yeah, annoyed me a little bit that it was that early. Like, come on.
End of the first episode, I would have been like, okay, I've committed 20 minutes. So I was expecting a joke, but not
Yep.
straight out the gate. It wasn't even funny though. But
No.
the humor in here is obviously going for like that office kind of humor in terms of the dry, sort of chaotic humor, but it doesn't pay off at all. Like
No.
none of the characters oversell anything. They literally just sound like they're reading the dialogue.
Yep.
And I wasn't sure if it was meant a laugh track would sort of put me into that 90s sitcom, which I was
Maybe.
expecting. Like, would that have
Yeah.
made it a bit more funnier where I could have been cued to laugh? Like, there was points where I wasn't sure if it was a joke or whether
Mm.
it was like important dialogue. So
Yeah.
it was like really
Because no one, I
confusing.
wrote this multiple times in my notes, no one had any fucking charisma. You look at Brooklyn Nine-Nine as a direct comparison, and you're going to because it's the same writer. Um, and you've got characters like, actors like Andy Samberg and such an eclectic a range of characters with really funny but complex backstories. And I'm sure that these will be explored more in this story, but without those charismatic actors carrying some mediocre dialogue, and some of the Brooklyn dialogue isn't that great either, but Sandberg carries that show. You can't get this Randall Park guy who he feels like a budget YouTube comedian, and he's just running through his lines. There's no passion, no delivery, no charisma. Um, I wrote multiple times as well that he feels like an actor. Like there are certain actors when you watch them, you can tell you're watching an actor act. You're not actually seeing the character, and especially when he's next to Eliza or Melissa Fumero, who her character feels very very similar to Amy Santiago, but when they're side by side, which is a lot of the scenes that sort of the main two characters, he just falls to pieces. He doesn't carry scenes. He's very very boring, and you can't have that in a main fucking actor, main character.
No, like none of them committed at all. Like Eliza was probably no, that's actually the guy who owns the strip mall. He was probably the most out there.
Oh,
Percy,
Percy,
which is
yeah,
JB Schmoove.
smooth.
Schmoove. Like he was probably the most charismatic, but I think that's just him, like
Yeah,
in terms of how he presents himself. And there was,
yeah.
if he overplayed it, I would have probably laughed at majority of his dialogue. The only times I did sort of smirk was when he was letting off fireworks right at the end where they were doing the big gorilla and
The
like
party thing.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the block party. And I was like, I knew what was coming, but
Hmm.
it was still his reaction was amusing. It wasn't funny, but it was like an amusing
Compared to
joke.
the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in contrast, it did make
Yeah.
me
In
smirk, but
contrast, definitely.
he definitely
Um,
when he's on there, it is better, but it's still not good. Like it's above the
so
dumpster
his
fire
first
that the
scene,
whole thing is.
but his first scene was the scene where they go to party, 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 his party store, and it's Eliza, Timmy, and Percy having a conversation. And Percy felt at that point, I thought he was like a once-off extra, like a one-time character. I didn't expect him to become an ongoing main character because he felt like there was no chemistry between any of them
No, they literally
at
just got
all.
these people together and were like, yo, you used to go to Blockbuster. They're like, yeah, we love Blockbuster.
You mean a show about it?
And they just all come together. So, in terms of them putting a comedy aspect on it, there was no
Yeah,
comedy at all, really.
no.
Like, I wouldn't even call it, it struggles to be called a sitcom. It's probably more of a drama than anything.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's funny little, there's like one-liners, and there's less situational comedy. It's probably more just one-liners and stuff. But yeah, they're not introducing, and again, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, direct comparison, they're not introducing enough chaos or enough opportunity for comedy. The characters are just going about their regular day to day. The main storyline across all three episodes was he's struggling with money, and that's going to get very boring very quick if it's just our main character is struggling to keep the doors open of this small business. There's not enough. Like a police precinct is perfect because you can have all sorts of chaotic crimes, and they got really funny detectives and whatever else. And they've tried to have that mix of characters with the staff. You got the token old lady who's also the token Spanish or like Latina lady. You got the young girl who speaks in young slang colloquialisms and is very woke. You've got the airhead. You've got the weird in this level. He's the weird aspiring director kid, who we find out is bisexual. So he's also the tokenistic LGBTQI person. So they have a nice mix, I guess, of potential characters, but they give them nothing to do. In the third episode, one of the side stories happening is two of the characters believe that a third character's mum was murdered in the 70s or 80s or whatever it was.
That's a big leap, that storyline.
Yeah, right?
They've gone from mundane to all of a sudden they're investigating a theoretical murder, which seems to line up on what is it? What's the Day of the Dead? I can't say.
Deus Muertos or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I can't remember the correct pronunciation, but yeah.
Yeah, so she's doing that whole thing where it's I don't know, what is it? The day that the veil is weakest or something, and they can communicate with past loved ones. And she was a candy striper. Like, there's so much nostalgia that they're throwing out there, and then they're like, nothing happens from it. In terms of they do the standard, it reminded me a little bit of Community in terms of how they do the in-house sort of dress up Halloween kind of episode.
It felt very Community-esque. Yeah,
but way less funny. Like, at least Community had that quirkiness, but they actually delivered on their punchlines. Where this, no punchlines deliver. There's occasionally a little bit of a one-liner that's kind of amusing, but overall,
delivered poorly. And again, Community has amazing actors playing really funny, diverse characters with lots to do. Again, a community center like that has much more opportunity for chaos and hilarity than a video rental store struggling to keep the doors open.
Yeah, they could at least have quirky people still coming in to like rent videos. That's the only way that they could potentially keep.
How many times can you do that? Just have a customer come in and do something strange.
10 episodes, apparently. They could have done that with like.
There's no more.
I don't know.
There's no way they're doing 10.
They did 10 episodes.
They did 10. Sorry, there's no way they're doing more than 10. There's no way they're doing a second season.
Probably not. I hope not.
So bad.
But looking at the ratings based off IMDb, just due to the cheat sheet, they start at like 5.6, which seems way too generous. And the last episode ends with 7.3. So, according to IMDb, but
gets better. Okay.
There's
no fucking way I'm sticking it out for an entire season of this bullshit.
No, based off of 3 episodes. I messaged you at the end of episode 1. I'm like,
I was about to bring that up.
I'm not watching the rest of it.
And I'm like, no, fuck you. I watched all 3. I watched the first one too. And I said to Eb, I stopped after that. I said to Eb, I don't know if I can watch any more of this. I was like, no, I'll just stick it out. Like, I can just go on my phone and do other crap at the same time. And you messaged me and said, I'm done after 1. I'm like, no, fuck, you're watching this shit.
Yeah, like the second 2 episodes, I didn't even really pay attention, but I already knew what was happening because it never went anywhere. Like, there was no progression whatsoever.
No, absolutely not. There was a COVID joke in the second episode. They keep the main character's parents divorced when he was, I think, in high school or something. And there's so many jokes around him being divorced, and he blames a lot of his behaviors and stuff on him coming from, not him being divorced, sorry, his family being divorced, coming from a broken home. Look, I didn't come from a broken home. I don't actually know the full, impact of it. But when they I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how frustrating it is to have a constant beration of the same joke and the same, oh, parents are divorced. Oh, my parents are divorced. It happens to a lot of fucking people. It was getting boring very quick. I feel like the chemistry improved a little bit between the characters.
Oh, marginally though. Like it was the only two chemistry that I actually felt was happening was probably Timmy and Eliza. That was
Yeah,
probably the only two that actually had
I feel like the
enough of
Timmy and Percy scenes got better as well. When it was just those two interacting, those they felt a bit more like friends hanging out, whereas the first episode felt like absolute strangers.
yeah, I guess. There wasn't really enough to be able to be like, yo, this is really good character development though, because
No,
they don't spend any like backstory getting to know people. The only ones is obviously Timmy, and we learn that
but
he's
besides
obviously
divorce,
yeah, he's from a broken
that's it.
home, and
Yeah,
he's been working at Blockbuster since he was what 14 or something.
he
They
likes
made
movies. Yeah,
yeah, they made reference to it. Eliza, husband cheated on her, and her daughter has a music on SoundCloud, which is the daughter berating her in the lyrics.
yeah.
Like,
And at least that story was connected to the characters,
yeah, and then
not this random fucking murder detection bullshit.
Connie was the stereotypical like crazy old lady. You got
Yeah,
Carlos, who was the aspiring director, but then when he got a viral video, didn't want to claim anything, which seemed a really odd choice. Hannah was,
uh,
where
yeah. I'm sorry.
he does the gorilla edit, and then that's how they got like
Yeah,
famous
yeah,
in the
yeah,
news. Yeah.
yeah. I know what you mean.
And then you got Hannah, who's just the weird oddball that
Just the
is
airhead.
is
Yeah,
there. And then you've got Kayla, which is Percy's daughter, who's only working there
hmm
because I don't know. He
Percy wants her too,
yeah.
and somehow it's how he gets to see her more often. I don't understand because he
Yeah,
says, "Oh, I have to keep," because the second episode is about Timmy has to fire someone, and ultimately Kayla says, "Fuck it, I'll just quit." And then Percy says, "Oh, keep her on. I'll pay her wage." So Percy's paying for Kayla's wage, but yet we keep seeing Percy be a hard ass with Timmy in terms of the like rent because Percy's also Timmy's landlord for Blockbuster. Uh, yeah. What else? I wrote funny lines with bad delivery all the time. It was interesting how at the end of every episode they introduce the complication for the next episode. At the end of the first episode, it was him realizing he has to fire someone. At the end of the second episode, it was him realizing whatever it was. So they introduced what the next episode is going to be about at the end of the current episode, and I don't know if I like that. I feel like you're not giving us time to settle with that episode before you introduce the next complication. Like it feels like just so much fucking happening with also nothing happening.
with like 25 minutes, you can't expand on anything really.
No,
You just need to deal with one chaotic moment that has obviously really big chaos to a massive sort of funny conclusion. And then let's do
yeah,
it all again next episode. That's
yeah,
what I was
yeah,
expecting. I didn't want like this random nest dumpster fire that is Blockbuster. I'm done with
yep.
this. I've hated it all.
It's so shit.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
It's like it's half a star from me. Like I didn't even finish the first episode. I had to go back to it.
okay.
So I still had, when I looked at it, I had another 8 minutes to go, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. That's when I
Yeah.
messaged you when I had to revisit it. And I was like,
Like,
I still got 8 minutes to go.
yeah, yeah, it felt like that. Me, it's a one. I wouldn't put it as bad as like uh, Mr. Harrigan's phone or what I watched last week that I fucking was disgusted with.
No,
I forgot what we watched last week now. We watched Chainsaw Man and oh the vampire one.
no, I'd probably watch the vampire one over this. At
Oh
least the
really?
vampire,
No, I
yeah,
think this was at least more entertaining and not as much of a smash in the face with the editing and stuff. This was like a one. At least it wasn't
no,
offensive. It was just boring.
it was so boring. I feel like at least the vampire one had randomness and things that I was kind of engaged because I was like, what in the hell is happening? This I was just staring at the screen going, you guys suck.
Yeah, but this isn't badly made. It's just made, whereas that was properly poorly made. It felt like an absolute. This was just. It's well made. It's at least you can hear everything. The sound isn't blasting over the top of their dialogue. Um, it was just their dialogue was boring as shit, and the characters had nothing to do, and they were
Yeah.
uncharismatic. So at least it was, at least to me, a more comprehensive piece of cinema slash TV.
Yeah, but I still preferred the vampire one because it was just entertaining to watch how badly it
Nah,
was
I can't.
slapped
That shit
together.
fucking hurt my brain to watch. That was like offensive. I'm not watching it ever again. Whereas this, I would like, I'd put on someone, I'd show someone how bad this show is and put it on. Whereas the other one, I did say last time I put the other one on, but I wouldn't hurt someone like that.
No, I would never ever put this on again. It is done
Nope,
for. But
nope.
no, it's horrible. I hate it. It should never be made. It should have
Do
been
not watch.
nostalgia. Stay
Don't
away
bother.
from it.
Yeah.
So now that we're past the old dumpster fire, let's go move on to Vinland Saga, which is originally Amazon Prime's. Well, I guess they had the streaming rights to it, and now it is
Yeah.
on Netflix. And there is a season 2 coming. The manga does often get very big praise in terms of how well the writing is.
Yeah.
And there's no way you're going to laugh at this.
No, stop.
No, because they're
It's not even a good
Vikings.
one.
It is a good one. I laughed.
I think I've heard that somewhere before.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
I did it.
probably.
Yeah, because I did it as a stream title when I was doing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
It was
so
just as shit then.
it's it makes me laugh. I think it's a
That's all that matters.
that's right. It's a good one. I amuse myself. So, so,
Yeah.
so you did laugh at it. Got you.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's Thor. I'm going to pronounce these wrong, but Thorfinn pursues a journey with his father's killer in order to take revenge and end his life in a duel as an honorable warrior and pay his father a homage. Homage? Do you pronounce it as homage? I feel like
Homage is
no,
fine.
no, you pronounce it as
Homage.
homage.
I
I
actually,
reckon.
I for a long time used to say homage, and then I heard it was homage, and
Yeah,
now I'm confused and unsure. So I'm not going to correct you on this one.
no. Let's make a executive call and add it to the thesaurus, and it's now homage. That's how you
I'm doing
pronounce
Google
it.
right now.
Nope, don't do
Homage.
it.
Come on, you gotta
No.
know.
But anyway,
That's what the
like,
internet's for.
yeah, because we've been doing a little bit of anime lately. Look at my shirt.
Homage is fine.
It's Midoriya from My Hero. You know, just some homage to
Homage.
homage. Homage doesn't sound right. Homage sounds weird.
Well, it is. I looked it
Well,
up.
yeah, cool. Whatever. I don't like it. Homage. That's how you say
No,
it.
it's wrong.
No, you're wrong. But anyway, this is a Viking tale which is set all around revenge. And obviously, we've done 3 episodes. I actually watched more than 3 episodes because I'd already started it before we actually decided to do it because I did get it recommended to me. So I think I'm on episode 7 or 8, which I'm not going to spoil anything past episode 3, but I can say
I've only watched up to 3, so please don't.
yeah, I can say episode 4 is currently my favorite, and that's where episode 3 leaves you on a bit of a cliffhanger of what's coming.
Okay.
And episode 4, I was like, yep, this is awesome. Away I go. But essentially, we're presented right at the start. You're presenting to this big Viking open battle, and you're presented to the father, which, what was his name? Thor or something or other. Was it just Thor, or was his?
I'm still trying to find like a good website with the
his
list.
names? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember it has Thor or something in it. I'm assuming it was like because his son is named Thorfinn, however they pronounce it. But we're not here to pronounce names correctly. It doesn't matter. But anyway, we're presented to him. He's this big buff Viking bloke, and he's just an absolutely deadly warrior. And you can see the anime in terms of how stylish these fights are and how quickly they're able to transverse like land or like into a fray. So he's like here, talking to his like offsider, and he's like, "There's people attacking." He's like, "I'll go deal with them," and he just like legs it, and you can see how quickly he's able to like cover land. So it does get that anime sort of
Yeah,
treatment in terms of how far and how unrealistic the fights are, but
yeah.
because
Which I
they
was
are,
unsure about. So I mean, I really like Viking history, and initially I was a bit like, this almost feels a bit unrealistic, obviously. Like, but
yeah,
and at first I wasn't okay with that. But I mean, look, it's an anime, and you're gonna have larger than life characters, so yeah, bring it.
yeah, which it is a little bit of a weird mix to begin with, the whole anime and Viking setting, but the
Mm-hmm.
over the topness does kind of fit the brutality that the Vikings do bring. Where
Yep.
from there, we're after that big battle, we're presented he's taken his tribe elsewhere to, was it Finland? I think the old storyteller's saying, it's Finland in it, or is it Iceland? I can't remember. It's one of those areas, but
They're in Iceland. They're
they're
going
in
back to
Iceland.
Norway.
Yeah. So they're having a
They're
bit
going to
of,
England
yeah, a
to.
bit of time away enjoying life, and you're presented to the family, where the family part, obviously I know it's important because it's setting up obviously our story of revenge, but I
Yep.
wasn't that interested in terms of the family dynamic. I really kind of just wanted to
Okay.
establish the revenge tale. I know why it's there and I know it's needed, but for me, you've presented me with this big
Don't
battle,
disagree.
and because it's an anime, I'm sort of stuck in that anime trope in terms of we are presented with a big bad and we're presented that it's something needs to happen. Like I've watched a lot of Naruto, I've watched a lot of Bleach, I've watched a lot of shoujin anime, and I'm expecting that real quick sort of into the fray. Here's what they need to overcome. Where the slower burn sort of put me off in terms of my headset around anime. I know there's obviously more
Mm,
anime that around that, and I know why they
but
need
this
to
is
have.
different to regular anime. This is semi-historic anime. You've got to spend time building the lore and understanding the characters, understanding how slaves work, and there's a lot more to it than just throwing our characters into combat.
Oh, I'm aware of that. I'm just telling you that it took me a little while to get my headset around it, and that's what I was expecting. It's not saying it
Okay.
was bad, but
Right. I thought
also
you were saying I expected that, I wanted that. Right.
that's personally that's what I do want in terms of
Yeah.
if I'm watching a show, that's what I want, where I can still see why a show needs to have it. But my
Yeah.
like standout moments are obviously when they're in that combat and we have that real sort of emotional connection to the character. Like
Mm-hmm.
when they do set up that revenge plot, I really feel for the kid, and I want that kid to go off and fulfill his like quest for vengeance and that
Yeah. Yeah.
revenge. And that's what I enjoyed. Like it needed that slow burn to be able to establish that, where for me to change my headset around it, not taking anything from the show, it's just it took me a little while to get my mind into
Okay.
the slower burn when you've presented me with this big Viking battle, and then you put me into all the lore and all the different things for the next, like, I
Mm-hmm.
guess 2 episodes. I know there is that scene where the guy comes along and he's establishing about the slaves, and he's got the chain, and the chain is like really brutal. And they did a
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool little way to, probably not to chuck it into the next category in terms of rating, but they did sort of pull focus away from the
Yeah.
damage that the chain did. So that was a nice little creative way
Yep.
to show
Yep.
brutality, but also keep them in that sort of MA rating instead of
It
pushing it
is,
into
and
the
it's
R.
you don't need to see brutality to understand brutality. Like we're interacting with a slave, we're seeing the damage to him. Like that's enough, I
Yeah.
think.
So I thought
Mm-hmm.
that like it's dealing with things, and it's setting up that, I guess, the lore of the Vikings and the brutality that was, well, is the Vikings,
Yeah.
where yeah, you just got to be prepared for a bit more of a slow burn if you're into, like, obviously your higher actions shoujin
Mm-hmm.
animes. Like you need to
Mm-hmm.
come in with a bit more of an open mind. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
end up a little bit like me in terms of you want to jump into that action straight away, where you're
I
only
said
present.
last week.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you go.
I was gonna say I was saying last week how when we have these stories built on action combat, we've got Chainsaw Man, who's obviously built around literally being a chainsaw and all those sorts of over the top gruesome scenes, whatever. When we're not seeing those scenes, we either need to have a really good story or a really good comedy. Chainsaw Man had a really good comedy and a few sprinkles of good story, whereas I feel like this is going to be the opposite. This is going to be really, really heartfelt, powerful story. I know that like a lot of the information I've seen, including the image behind me, Thorfinn, Thorfinn, the kid,
Yep.
we see him age in the story. So, we're getting to have a lot of character development and really seeing these sort of vengeance stories and whatever else come to pass and get to experience the whole journey rather than just the payoff. So I'm really excited to where the show is going to go for sure.
Yeah. Is episode three?
Askeladd, the bad guy, looks pretty cool.
Yeah, episode three is where it really sort of tips over the scale in terms of where
Mhm.
it's leading to. So Floki comes along and he's like needs to
Really cool.
reestablish the tribes, and uh, I'm not that familiar with Viking lore, but obviously is Floki meant to be um like Loki is obviously Thor's brother. What's
Yeah,
the symbolism with Floki? Is it just a Viking name or is it symbolism to
it is just
Loki?
a Viking name, but it's named after Loki, and there's like an understanding, I guess, especially in Western culture, naming characters. You think have you seen Vikings, right? Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Floki in that show is a trickster and very cunning and all that sort of stuff. Where what we saw in this Floki is very similar. So it is named after Loki.
Yeah, so I was wondering if the dad Thor, whatever his second part of the name is, and Floki, that's obviously symbolism to Thor and Loki in terms of
Yeah.
like obviously the dad's very righteous and honorable and like
Hmm.
a badass warrior, where Floki's a little bit more conniving but
Yeah.
can still hold his own as a warrior. So I wasn't sure if that was the homage to it because I just wasn't obviously familiar enough with Viking lore and the names to be able to really pick up on that.
Yeah. Yeah. It does seem that way. Thor's also meant to be a bit of an oaf. Western culture has really made, especially with Marvel and stuff, really made Thor out to be this powerful warrior, but he's sort of a bit of a fat lazy pig in mythology.
Yeah, right.
Um, so yeah, I'm not sure about how because his name's Thor's Thors, the dad of Thorfinn.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure. That did take me a little bit like I guess out of it because we're naming our characters like directly after Norse mythology, but so did Vikings. That's not a big problem.
No, I was wondering if they were going into the symbolism and seeing that you're our resident art house lover, I thought you'd be able
I
to.
don't
Yeah.
know. I assume that he's named Floki because he's the backstabbing, conniving character. Where we see at the end of episode 3 that he's plotting against Thor's
Yeah.
force.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he's essentially wants old Thor to meet his end, and they're presented into this passageway where they have to go through,
mm-hmm.
and it's where an ambush is laid, and that's where episode 3 leaves you. And then obviously I've seen further, and then episode 4 is the pinnacle of it, the episode that I wanted, and it has that payoff that I was looking for in
Yeah,
terms of the stylish action.
mm-hmm.
So
And I do like you said, it took me the way that you were talking before. How it took you a little while to get used to the slow burn. It took me a little while to get used to um I don't know because I don't know heaps. Like I'm not a scholar by any means, but because I do know a fair bit about Viking lore and mythology and stuff, I'm always going to overanalyze this stuff. And it did take me a little bit to see Thor's as almost inhuman, but again, maybe that's a cool thing. This is an anime after all. Uh, if and maybe he is meant to be in some way Thor himself, or blessed by or whatever, because they do. in Norse mythology, it's the the gods aren't these, above us watching us from the cloud sort of thing. The gods are living, breathing men among us, or men and women.
Yeah.
They live among them, sort of thing. So they often get talk about being visited by different gods and whatever. So Thor's could be a god, really. Don't know. Who knows?
Who knows?
Mm,
But yeah, after
really cool.
after 3 episodes, you've established enough connection with the characters and the world to be like, all right, this is going to build, this is going to expand. And as long as
Yeah.
they don't deviate or somehow absolutely wreck the payoff later down the line, it
Hmm.
does remind me a lot of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood,
Yes.
like in terms
Yes.
of how well they're establishing the characters, they're giving you
Yeah.
enough interaction in terms of the backstory, and the story is there as well. So like that
Hmm.
world building is actually quite hard to do, especially in anime.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
is this is doing an incredible job so far with those 3 episodes.
Definitely. And I think being grounded in our history as well really helps in the narrative. The fact that they can talk about um, Vinland being the new America, and the fact that they can talk about Norway and Iceland and all those places, we have a bit of an understanding of where they are and their distance from each other. So it helps, I think, in helping that narrative and showing us locations and whatever. Like, we can make sense of it. We don't need to have a lot of stuff spoon fed to us. Whereas that sometimes I struggle with, even with like Game of Thrones, or with Rings of Power, or Lord of the Rings, or whatever. When they talk about distance from place to place, I have no idea. Whereas this is a lot more comfortable. Uh, I loved learning about the world and the characters and all the little intricacies, and I'm so excited to learn more of that, learn more about Thor's background, and um, this leaf life, Leif,
Yeah.
the character who was telling all the stories about being in Vinland and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, the old bloke
Um,
who
yeah,
they
the old
reckon's
bloke.
a child with hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a child with grey hair, whatever they said, or hair on his lip.
Yeah.
um, yeah, he's really cool, and I like having that experienced sailor adventurer sort of leading the intrigue and telling us about things to come, and getting us excited for those things without literally saying we are going to go to Vinland.
Yeah, no, I'm all focused on the revenge tale. That's what
Of course you are.
I personally enjoy those stories. Like
Uh-huh.
what a person has to overcome, what they can overcome. That's what I want. That's what I enjoy. And
Yeah,
that's essentially why I watch a lot of shoujin anime, just because
I know.
I like the person that has to overcome all the trials and tribulations to be like the very best, for a
Hmm.
better saying. But yeah, like I still enjoy the story. Like I can still appreciate the world and the character and the development. But
Yeah,
I just don't want to focus too heavily on that. Like I want that revenge tale to be the primary, but I'm happy to explore obviously around that as well.
I'm the opposite. I'd
Yeah.
rather I'd rather all information and learning about the world and what they're doing, and being spoon fed information, um, and that that sort of vendetta drive our main character, but not drive the story.
Oh,
Personally,
how different we are.
yeah, I want the
But
whole thing to be about that. Like, I want, because otherwise we reach the end of that, then it's like, will the next thing be as exciting?
no,
Whereas if I'm
because
invested in the world and the characters, I'm going to be excited regardless.
as soon as we get to that point, that's story done. We don't need to keep expanding on it. We just need a really well told tale in terms of that revenge plot.
Okay, sure,
Yeah.
if you say so.
I would prefer a shorter series that really focuses and has the motives for that revenge plot, and they do it well, they
Mm-hmm.
execute it, then rather
Yep.
than building a world so that they can keep branching off and having all the different like spin-offs. Like say Walking Dead, the first season was really, really good.
Masterpiece. Frank
And
Darabont all the way.
and then they go into season 2. It's just boring and like really drawn out where they're on the farm,
It's
where
budget cuts though.
yeah, like they could have left it at season 1 and done really well with it and just left it, and I would have been happy with it.
I could do a 20-minute talk about what went wrong with Walking Dead, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's a tragedy when something starts really good and it leads to nothing.
Yeah, like I would be more than happy to have a really good story with a shorter, like
Mhm.
say even in betweeners, like they're what,
Yeah,
6 episodes a season?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and absolutely incredible. Like I'd rather be
Yeah,
wanting more, but have a
the
much
opposite
better,
of Scrubs.
yeah, like a quality product where
Yeah.
I'd be okay if this did it and did never had to expand out into. There's 25
Yeah.
episodes, and they are going to season 2. So like we're going to get more of the world. I would
Hmm.
have been okay if it was like a 12 episode anime if they're going to
Hmm.
keep the quality.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is, if this does end up being, 60 plus episodes, there needs to be more than just one character wanting revenge on one other character. Like you mentioned Brotherhood, and that's a great example of story driving characters, um, rather than characters of revenge driving the story. There was an overarching story, and yet our characters had their little goal, but there was this huge world scale event happening. And that meant that the 60 episodes didn't drag. They all had purpose. I just hope that this has enough sustenance to keep purpose, I
I hope
guess.
so. But
I
so,
think it will.
well,
We've got a lot to build from.
in terms of what everyone's saying, it's definitely good.
Yeah.
So,
Do we
and
know how many how many other manga is out? Is it all out? Is there still some being made? Or what are we in, like a Brotherhood situation here?
I'm sure the manga is much further ahead
Of course.
because this was adapted in 2019, and I don't think
Sure.
season 2 comes out till next year anyway.
Okay.
Vinland Saga. How much manga of the Vinland Saga is doing? So
26
it's
volumes have been published.
uh,
I guess I don't know how many volumes there are per episode.
end of the prologue is 54 chapters, which I have no idea how that you
Doesn't mean
convert
much
that.
to me.
No,
No idea.
don't know.
I'll ask one of my students. I have a student who is all about this stuff, and he'll be able to tell me.
So season 1 runs for 24 episodes and covers the first 54 chapters of the manga. But how much manga
How
is
many
there?
chapters are per? Don't know.
I don't know. Whatever. We'll have an answer for you next week.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I guess how much more there's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't. You know me. I don't like massive series. I don't want this to be Bleach, One Piece, Naruto. Like I want this to be a Full Metal length show, Death
yeah.
Note length show.
I don't know. Bleach is fantastic though. Highly recommend it.
I struggle
Loved
with
it.
unless something I grew up with that I watched as a kid over the course of years, like Dragon Ball Z, then maybe. But I'm not gonna watch something unless if I keep up with this, maybe. But if I don't, and all of a sudden there's 400 episodes, I'm never gonna watch them.
Start
But I guess we'll
with
see.
well, if you do Bleach, just do the Soul Society arc.
I'm not doing Bleach.
That's where it was meant to end. Just do
Okay,
it.
but I'm not doing Bleach. How many episodes is that?
About 50 episodes.
Okay, that's actually doable.
Yeah, just the Soul
But now I'd
Society.
rather watch Chainsaw Man and Vinland Saga before I got to that.
Yeah, well, you gotta wait for the extra episodes of Chainsaw Man. So
Yeah, I'll
you got
smash through this, and if I'm still need to scratch the itch, I
yeah,
might watch some Bleach.
yeah, you do.
I can't promise anything.
What would you rate it? Would you recommend it?
Like a 4, 4.5. It's up there. It has me excited for more. I had to hold myself back. I knew if I watched more, I would forget what events happened in the first three and in the rest. So I just stopped myself at three.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to watch more. And yeah, really interesting. I'm really excited to see where this goes, especially knowing there's time jumps. Characters are very interesting all round. Good. None of the CG looked bad.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Good
In all,
production quality. Like animation's
yep.
good. I had a great time, even though once I got my head around the slower burn and the character development, it's definitely a
Mm-hmm.
4, and I can't wait to see your reaction after episode 4. Like,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, I'm excited to see your reaction on it.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Well, we'll watch that like tomorrow or something. So
mm,
I'll message you on
yeah,
Messenger and be like, "Oi."
yeah, I enjoyed it. Then your pick of this episode, and you've been very excited for, is
Hmm.
Barbarian, which
Yeah.
had glowing critic reviews. But will the only two critics that ever matter on movie
Yeah.
talks, will it pass the test? Will that be one of
Yeah.
those critics acclaimed but also audience hate? Is it or is it not? Stay tuned.
Just fucking hell. Okay, so Barbarian, the synopsis is a woman staying at an Airbnb discovers that the house she has rented is not what it seems. And that sort of explains it, but not terribly so. I sort of want to start by saying this is one of those movies that you're going to enjoy the most without any knowledge. Uh, you're going to get the most out of this movie if you have no idea what the fuck's happening and you've got to learn as the movie shows you. So if you're listening and you haven't watched it and you ever want to watch it, please just stop listening, come back. Um, you're going to get way more out of this. And I think it's a pretty good movie. And I think that if you listen to us explain everything and spoil everything, it's nowhere near as good. And I think that's also why I wouldn't watch it a second time, even though it was quite good. Um, but yeah, Barbarian. So the story is split into three very distinct acts, and I'm not sure if the word is act is correct. It doesn't really feel like a three-act structure, but it's split into following one set of characters and another character, and then it sort of brings them together at the end. So at the beginning, we have Tess, who's Georgina Campbell. She's been in a few bits and pieces, but she's in like Black Mirror, amongst other things. And she's the girl who has an Airbnb. She gets to this house, and in the house is Bill Skarsgård, which is character name's Keith, but he is Pennywise from It. And she gets there. He's already there. She's like, "Oh, what's happening with the booking?" And he shows his website booking and her website booking, and they are indeed double booked. And in the beginning, because we know this is a horror slash thriller, and Bill Skarsgård often plays bad guys, and he has a bit of intimidating factor to him. Um, Initially you think that he's the bad guy, and that you sort of the whole time don't want her to go inside, and you don't want her to get close to him or whatever. But it turns out he's actually a nice person, but you don't actually find that out until the moment that he gets killed. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Um, there's so much happening in the story. I don't want to go into every little piece of information, but basically over time, she's in the house alone. He's out doing work, whatever he's doing. She goes down to the basement, finds like a secret corridor that leads to like a dungeon with a camera and a stained bed. Um, and she like freaks out, runs upstairs. He comes home. She's like, "Don't go down there." He does. He ends up finding another secret door that leads further and deeper down underneath his house. And it turns out there's this like creepy monster called the Mother. And he kills him. Sorry, this monster kills him and then takes her. And then we cut to a bright, beautiful day. And we're following Justin Long's character, who's like a producer or director or something like that, Hollywood.
But before you go there, do you know the most
Yeah.
interesting fact about the mother is it was played by a 6'8" man who
Yep.
auditioned for the role over Zoom and he won it by biting a head off an imaginary rat. So
I didn't know that part.
he acted that out on a Zoom audition, and
Sure.
it took him 3 hours in makeup and prosthetics boobs. So you would sit there for 3 hours a day.
And get those big bad grandpa boobs going on.
Yeah, like I found that really interesting in terms of
There you go.
who played the mother.
Yeah, I knew he was a tall man,
Yeah,
but I didn't know that his audition or
because he
that's
was
real bizarre.
the mother is described as a 7 foot being,
Yeah.
which is pretty close, I guess. 6'8",
Mm-hmm.
7 foot. Yeah, we'll give
Mm-hmm.
it to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he probably has some sort of he felt I would have thought he was around 8 foot. Like this mother character was very towering over our characters.
Yeah, it was
Um,
definitely also Justin Long. I haven't seen in a movie for quite some time.
no,
He
and
was
that's where the
in
movie took a weird turn. Like it was instantly a comedy as soon as he was that whole second act felt like a comedy.
where his whole character and that whole subplot of like him sexually assaulting his
Mm-hmm.
co-worker, which never really got resolved. Like it was mainly just to establish, is he a good character? Like, is AJ a good person, or
No,
can
he raped
he?
her.
Oh no, but like that's what the whole thing was about. Like you didn't find out
Yes.
right to the end, but it was like
Yes.
the whole part of this movie is you're trying to work out the psychological
Yep.
parts of each person.
Yep.
And it was like, is AJ a good person? Because he can present her however you want. It's not till
Mm-hmm.
later on in his act that you actually find out that he's not a very nice person
Yep.
at all.
Definitely not. And that's when you instantly want him to die. You
Yeah.
go from sort of rooting for him to I was watching it like fuck, that'd be to be accused of rape. That's one of like a huge fear of mine working with like teenagers and stuff is I could be accused one day and I don't have much of a leg to stand on because men do this shit. And I was instantly like, fuck, dude, that sucks. That's life ruining. And then to find out that because he was like, oh no, she had to take a little bit of convincing or whatever. And I was like, no, it's coercive rape. You raped her. And I instantly was looking forward to watching him die, which we sort of got. Um,
Yeah.
he he was an interesting character. And that whole second act, the director, this is his almost directorial debut, but he comes from a background of comedy and comedy writing. Uh, and that whole second act felt like a separate movie, and I wasn't mad at it. I liked that whole second act with Justin. How he was like he got to the house and he finds this spooky underground basement, and he's running around with a tape measure to measure everything so that he can try and claim it as extra square footage for his house and get more money for the sale, even though it's like in a bomb site. Um, it was funny as hell. And all his little interactions, and I liked him. It was cut well.
They had 4 acts really, because then we had straight after AJ's, you got the backstory where you find out the whole reason
True.
for the extra rooms and he's
Yes.
essentially a serial killer slash
Yep.
abductor. Like he did it to several women where he would essentially abduct them, keep them in
Mm-hmm.
basements, have children with them,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Have children with the children.
yeah, and so on. Like he
Yep.
just continually interbred the genes, and that's why we've
Yep.
got the mother character
Mm-hmm.
where I I didn't actually enjoy this film. It
You
was
didn't?
just nah. I enjoyed Act
Okay.
One. Act One was really good in terms of they built suspense. It was really well in terms of
Yep.
where they were going. You weren't really that psychological. Is she safe with this person?
Yeah.
Where it built suspense. It was doing everything good, but it just unfortunately once they changed acts, it just lost me completely. I
Interesting.
lost all that tension. Like I didn't care about his tape measure. I didn't care about the mother that much. I just like she just disappeared. I was like, I've just spent like 40 minutes or whatever it was with this character feeling for her safety to her just disappear, and then you're reestablishing me with AJ. It was like, it felt like a completely different film. It took me out of it, and I was like, well, I've already invested this time. I feel like my time's now wasted because I don't know what's happened, and you're presenting me with new characters. It just it took me out of it, and I didn't like it.
Okay. Sure. I can see where you're coming from, because I initially thought that whole opening, I even wrote down, was that a 40-minute cold opening? I initially thought that was just the cold opening and that AJ was going to be our main character. But what about the fact that we brought Tess back? Did that make you look more satisfied, or
no? Because in the end, like, I would have liked to see her trying to survive in the tunnels and her interaction with the mother, where she just all of a sudden knew this stuff and she presented it. It just felt like it was a convenience plot point where here's Tess, here's AJ in the underground cage, and she's like, don't show emotion. Like, she feeds off your emotion. Like, she's the mother.
Yeah, because
but it felt convenient. Like, I
disagree completely.
Yeah,
I think we don't need to see all that. She spent several weeks down in this basement or whatever it is, in this hole, with this monster. Of course she understands how it works. I don't think it's convenient.
No, well, I would prefer just to spend my time seeing her survive. I feel like dropping AJ completely would have been a much better cohesive story for me to be able to watch her survive in this tunnel. But also, why are you renting an Airbnb in the slums? Like, surely you do a little bit of research before this. Like, it just seemed completely like you're driving down this road and you can see all the houses.
She can't. She was there at night and it was pissing down with rain. Remember that?
Yeah, but regardless, you do your research in terms of the areas you're going to stay. I know you're going for a job in a new city, but like, even the person is like, why are you renting it in here?
Yeah,
it's the only house that is still like pristine condition compared to everything else that is essentially just destroyed. And
which we learn about. But yeah, you're not wrong. Like, the fact that she just took it on, but people don't, like Airbnbs, especially if you see a nice looking house, you ever look how often. I mean, I don't book a whole bunch of Airbnbs, but I don't know if I would actually go online and look up the neighborhood and stuff, or if I would just trust the fact that it's a relatively nice looking house. I don't know. I don't know if that is, if I do think that's a problem, or where I sit with that.
I do. If you plan a holiday, you look at the area and you're like, I want to go here, here, and here, and this is where I need to establish myself. Is it a nice area? No. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but you see a nice house for a relatively cheap price, you go, oh yeah, that'll do for 2 nights.
Yeah, I still reckon you would have done. Even going back the second night, like, she survived the first night, and it was kind of like, oh, I met this guy.
Yes,
kind of
I wouldn't have gone back.
No, like,
I thought the same thing.
To the point where she had weird, creepy noises, and then she went out and woke him up for whatever reason. Like,
yeah, that whole interaction was really weird, because it's one thing making us believe that he's the bad guy because based on our own assumptions, and they do raise that women have those assumptions on men that they are bad people. But you're right, that scene where he was like on the bed rolling around and making noises and stuff, it almost felt a little too on the nose. Like, you're trying to make him look more suspicious than he actually was.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't think it needed that.
It was odd. And then obviously the homeless guy, he's just running around yelling at her. Like, I liked it. He came out of nowhere. He built suspense in terms of, is she really safe in this area? Why does she keep going? Like, she's done the job interview. I would have just legged her. I would have like tried to change my flight. I don't know where she was from, but she 100%. Was obviously from interstate. They had a very spooky experience in a house. Lots of common sense is kind of sort of firing in my brain. But
yeah. Can you hear those sirens, by the way?
No.
Okay. There's like sirens going around outside, windows open. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, a little bit. Can hear him a little, but it's all good. But yeah, like, I don't know. I didn't like AJ. I felt like it was 2 separate movies that they tried to combine in the end.
Yeah.
it
It,
just
it was a weird tonal shift. I liked his scenes, but it felt like a different movie. It felt almost like if this would maybe was suited a limited run series better, where the first episode is the first act of this, and then the second is because it did feel a little disjointed.
oh
Um,
yeah, definitely. I do agree. It would have been better as a series.
I think bringing it together at the end was good. I was happy with the interactions at the end. I was happy with them having to run away and then being rescued by the homeless guy. Um, I
Yeah.
loved again this it being almost a comedy. How the homeless guy was like, "She's never come here. I've been here 15 years, and she's never come this area." And as soon as he says it, like this motherfucker had never been, and she's burst through the back and
Rips his
rips him
arm
to
off.
pieces, rips his arm off. Um,
Ah,
she, I didn't like how we got, we almost had to feel sorry for this monster at the end, and how she was hugging Tess and was like, "Baby." It
yeah.
was almost like we're meant to, and I guess in a way we should because she's the victim here. Um, the dad Frank is the real monster, not the actual monster. Um, Almost like a Frankenstein's monster in a way. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I had some problems with it, but I still think I had a pretty good time.
Yeah, they went. It was too ambitious. Like I didn't actually like the story of the mother. I thought the mother character was really cool, but I would have preferred it just to
Interesting.
be more of a monster rather than the whole.
No, I like that. It's something
Nah,
different. Are you kidding?
it's
I'm so
not.
sick of fucking monsters for the sake of monsters. At least this had almost like a criminal mind sort of backstory.
Nah, but I would have liked that to be more of a story in terms of that should have been the intro where you've got old mate killing people, abducting people, and then I would have liked
No, that was the payoff.
no, I would have preferred the family like running the Airbnb and they wanted to like continually feed the mother or whatever, and that people were like the food.
It's been done.
Nah,
No,
nah,
I feel like this was at least somewhat fresh. The
no.
ideas you're throwing out have been done before. I'm sick of horror. I don't watch much horror because they all feel like the generic fucking story. This was different.
Yeah.
I liked that it was told out of order. I liked that it was told three different perspectives, and different perspectives meant different genres. She was the scared, frail woman, and he was the overconfident, comedic jester character. And their scenes matched the characters' energy, and I thought that was clever personally.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just altogether, I feel like it didn't have any payoff really for me. It was just too disjointed. Where
Okay,
I like the flow. I want to present it in order. Even even though I do like Pulp Fiction, how it's told out of order, like out of chronological order, I still liked
very
it, but
different.
I would have preferred it in that chrono.
Really?
Yeah, like
So if you watch Pulp Fiction, you prefer a cut where it's all in order?
yeah, I would prefer it.
Fuck,
Even The
fuck,
Witcher.
man.
What?
How?
Because I like logical
You
stories in
prefer
terms of
simplicity?
yes, I prefer start to finish. I feel like we've established this.
Oh, okay.
What?
Okay, you're doing art housey for a bit. I've noticed a few cool things. I really
Here
like
we
some of
go.
the transitions
Yep.
in how they used. There was actually cool moments, almost like 2001: Space Odyssey, how they would transition from like image to object.
Hmm.
Um, I thought the some really interesting use of like wide lenses. There's the part where he's down the AJ Justin Long's character is down in the crypts corridors whatever, and it's like a super wide lens and it makes his arms look really long, and we get almost a point of view shot, almost like a first person shooter. Um,
Oh, I
they were
hated
really
that.
distorting. Really,
Hated it. I hate any point of view first person in a movie. Don't do it. Hate it.
any,
Hate it completely.
but it was so distorted. That was the point. It was
No,
like how much. Oh wow. Okay.
no. I hate it. I hate It gives me
There was
flashbacks of when Doom does it. Even like Hardcore Henry, I hate the first person.
oh, okay. Um, did you notice there was some really nice shots in the flashback scenes where there was a camera like across the road and then it tracked all the way to the car, got in the back of the car or in the driver's passenger seat, pardon me, and then framed as he was driving along following a woman. He kept the car in the distance, which was in focus. They kept it in frame the entire time they were driving along. So they had two cars and a camera on three levels of plane, all keeping up with each other. Some of it was really masterful. Some of it had a lot of attention to detail.
Oh, it was well made. Definitely give it that. Like, cinematography was good, set pieces were good. It's just the story for me just didn't have the payoff.
Interesting. Okay, I thought it was really good, really clever. And I like that it didn't try to over explain things. It trusted the audience enough to piece things together and make sense of bits and pieces.
I also hate the 360 like confusion shots. Like I've been seeing it a number of times lately in terms of it must be the new thing that people are trying to do. So when she gets out of the
What?
basement, when she gets pulled out of the basement and she's with the homeless guy, they're out in the
Mm,
street and it's
mm,
like they're trying to build tension, they're trying to build like confusion in terms of what's happening.
mm.
And the camera they circle people now. They do the like full 360 in terms of they
Oh,
go
like the
around
Michael
the subjects.
Bay, like yeah,
Yeah,
arc shot.
yeah.
I didn't pick that up.
I don't.
I don't find them problematic at all.
I don't like it. I think it makes me a little bit nauseous. I think it's like kicks my motion sickness in. I
Yeah,
just even like
you get weird with like games sometimes too.
yeah, even the real
Mm-hmm.
quick edits like Jason Bourne when they went to like 0.5 of a second in terms of all the jump cuts.
Yeah,
That that
yeah.
that does me in as well. So I
Okay.
think that's just a motion sickness kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
I, I personally I personally don't like it, and
Yeah,
it's
only to
it's
each their own, of course.
it's happening a lot lately in terms of a number of films are doing it just to show confusion. It used to be Dutch angle. They used to use a lot of Dutch angles to show confusion of
Yeah,
characters.
there's a period where
Where
that was going pretty wild.
yeah, which was pretty much Mission Impossible started that. Well, not
Okay.
started, but they made it more mainstream when they showed. Um, was
There's
his
a
name
period where like,
Ethan
go
Hawke?
on,
Was it Ethan
Ethan
Hawke?
Hawke,
Yeah, I feel like it's Ethan Hawke. Is it in Mission Impossible?
who did Mission Impossible. Yeah, I think
Uh
so.
no, that's what Tom Cruise's character is.
What? Ethan Hawke is an actor.
Yeah, the actor is his name. Who? It's Tom Cruise's character in
I
Mission
don't know.
Impossible.
I haven't seen them.
Ethan Hunt. I was close. So Ethan
Sure.
Hunt in Mission Impossible, which is Tom Cruise's character, when they were trying to show
Okay.
him confused in a situation, they would use Dutch angles, and that's pretty much how it got famous in the West. And then people
Right.
started using it heaps more.
I just think back to I know American Horror Story wasn't as groundbreaking and as world changing as Mission Impossible, but they went pretty fucking bonkers with Dutch angles
Mm.
for a little while.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, in all, I thought this was really good. I really liked the end. I think I didn't mind the fact that it felt like different movies at times, because it helped me in ground myself with the character's perspective in the way that they viewed the world and the way they were viewing the situation. And I think that was a nice thing. Um, it's a nice, I think a change of genre mid film can be a nice change of pace if done well. And I thought this did it really well. So I thought it was really good and I had a good time. And for me, it was a 4 out of 5.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
For
it's up
me,
there.
yeah, right. I didn't like the disjointed characters. I already established 40 minutes with the character. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to
Yeah.
see more of that suspenseful horror where it
Mm-hmm.
didn't really deliver on it because of the change in tone. It felt like a whole new movie. It felt like I was starting from zero. Would I recommend it to people? Probably because it is well shot. The cinematography is
Yeah.
good. I just didn't like the storytelling in how they told the story. I think it could have been great if they, in terms of followed a nice logical path, but that's
Yeah.
how I like stories told. So for me, it's like a 3. like I would recommend it, but it was okay.
Okay,
Mm,
interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
I can see your perspective. I disagree.
Well,
That's
yeah.
fine.
Obviously, we have the opposite points of the scale. I mean, the show would be boring if we liked everything the same all the time.
Wasn't it nice to have a horror movie that didn't end with an action scene? There's a little bit of a chase scene, but at least it wasn't like they had to fight the bad guy.
Do you
They almost had
want
to fight each other.
do you really want me to answer?
Fuck. Not if you don't. If you don't agree with me, then don't answer.
No, I wanted a fight scene. I wanted them to fight the big 7 foot mother.
But instead, we got to see again Justin Long's character be a little selfish piece of shit
Yeah.
and
Oh,
like throw tests.
I laughed so hard when the mother jumped off. Like it was
Yeah, it
just
did look really silly.
it looks very silly.
Hmm.
And she survived. How did she catch up to her to be able to like catch her and like get her body underneath her to break her fall? Like
Wind resistance, man. Tess
no,
was falling like arms out, catching all the wind, and the mother was diving down. Don't you
whatever.
know?
Yeah,
No, I know. I know. But there's obviously going to be some suspension of disbelief. You don't have inbred monsters like this. You have inbred who are like missing their fingers and their eyes blink independently, but you don't have people turn into like 8 foot monsters with fucking superhuman strength.
I mean, you're going to be pretty strong if you're like 7 foot. But yeah, to put your thumbs in the eyeballs and rip the skull
Yeah,
apart, like yeah,
that was
okay.
sick. That
I
was really
mean,
cool.
well, sure, if
Rip
that's
someone's arm off.
yeah, if that how inbreeding genetics work, I have no idea. So
And she was
whatever.
so like skinny and gangly. Like, no. But whatever. Like I said, you've got to suspend some disbelief when you watch this shit.
Yeah,
The fact that all those tunnels and shit exist underneath this house is
like
also
who built them?
beyond. Yeah, this Frank guy supposedly
Like how many
he
generations was he
captures,
down there
rapes
for?
women, but he can also build some fucking badass tunnels.
Yeah, like how many generations was it? Like what's the
Mm-hmm.
timeline of the genetic, I guess, mixing of genes to produce a 7 foot monster?
Yeah,
Like,
and there is a lot that isn't explored, I guess, but I don't know. I liked all that.
hmm,
Yeah,
yeah,
fair
whatever.
enough.
Uh, Obviously, next week we do have a special guest appearance. They will be presenting Watcher, the Netflix series. So we'll be watching the first 3 episodes of that.
Mm-hmm.
Lawson's pick is The Stranger, which is an Australian film, which is
Yep.
not a Netflix original, but it is distributed worldwide by Netflix. So if you want to watch it, check it out on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And also our nostalgia in terms of this guy was the parody king with our Yankovic story. So we have the nostalgia of his songs. I reckon
Yeah.
his Star Wars American Pie one is probably still one of my favorites.
Yeah, I can still sing that shit from start to finish.
Like I still enjoy that.
Uh-huh.
There's just so many of them. He's very clever in terms of the parody and keeping the
Mm-hmm.
tune. Like I enjoyed it. I'm hoping
And
they do this
and
in a
Daniel Radcliffe is playing Weird Al, so that's cool. I like him a lot.
yeah. Yeah. So that should be exciting. I'm
Woo.
wondering how obviously if you like me poking Lawson's buttons, wait till you see us team up. We're unstoppable force pushing buttons. So you'll see
Yeah,
it.
with the
Um
loveliest woman I ever met.
Yeah, so my attention obviously changes, and I like to push other people's buttons.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I might not be the victim next time. We can just bully her together. We get
Yeah.
our first guest on, and we just bully the shit out of her.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll see.
That's what we
So
do.
we've told her about no sort of structure in terms of how we're going to run. We're just going to throw her in
Yep,
there. We're also
because
going
there
to,
is none.
yep, we're going to give her the movie news. So we're going to give her the game
Okay.
show. Yep. In terms of different questions, we're going to play two truths and one lie of movie gossip and see if she can guess it.
Okay, sure.
Yep. And I just made that up then. No, I had it planned. But anyway, they're the three we're going to watch. And,
Yep.
if you want to brighten someone's day, hinder someone's day, make them laugh, make them sad, make them cry, feel all the emotions. This is the
Mhm.
podcast for you. You also get a little bit of educational gossip in terms of movie gossip now as well. We can add that to the column. You can tick that off. So if you want your
Sure you
movie,
do.
if you want your movie news, you want your movie reviews, and you want your movie recommendations in terms of TV shows, animes, and everything else, if you want to jump on to Twitch as well, I'm live every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:45 Australian Central Standard Time. Lawson is
All
my
the time.
moderator.
Woo.
And yep, you'll see him get really mad because unfortunately he can't talk, so he can only type. And then I have
Yeah.
free range to just absolutely talk and tell my dad jokes, which everyone
Yep.
loves because there's no way you're gonna laugh at them.
Nope. It's negative.
You
There is
do.
no way.
You laugh a lot. But
Mm-mm.
tomorrow night we've got the spicy chips on again, so check them out. They are very.
Yep.
We had some internet problems, but yeah,
We
regardless,
did.
it was unfortunate. But if you want to see me play a horror game and any ghosts, I don't like ghosts because you can't punch them. The only ones you don't have a fighting chance against. I've digressed again. This is what happens a lot.
Do you know what? Just tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
Just tell all your friends.
Otherwise, I'm going to go on more rants. So yeah.
And I'll sit here patiently and then interrupt and then apologize.
Yeah. All right. Tell your
The
friends.
casual formula.
Tell your acquaintances. Tell everybody.
Tell everybody.
Take a screen capture and tag Ryman TV, which is on Instagram, or J_Ryman. Hit that one up too, and I'll give you a repost and maybe give you a reaction.
Just what you want.
Yep, that's what you want. Yep, cool.
Yeah, boy.
See yous.
All right, love yous. Bye.